On the agenda tonight, we're going back to take a look at Mac Davis, and he's going to be performing In the Ghetto. Hello, Phil here from Wings of Pegasus, and welcome to another analysis video. First of all, thank you guys for all of the messages requesting this video for tonight. We're going to get Mac up on screen, we'll watch it the whole way through, and then we'll get into the analysis afterwards. Let's see how he gets on.
I chose this one because it's still makes sense. As the snow flies on a cold and gray Chicago morning, a poor little baby child is born in the ghetto. And his mama cries, cause if there's one thing she don't need, it's another little hungry mouth to feed in the ghetto. People, don't you understand? The child needs a helping hand, or he'll grow to be an angry young man someday. Take a look at you and me. Are we too blind to see? Or do we simply turn our heads and look the other way? Well, the world turns, and a hungry little boy with a runny nose plays in the streets as the cold wind blows in the ghetto. And his hunger burns, so he starts to roam the streets at night. He learns how to steal and he learns how to fight in the ghetto. And then one night in desperation, the young man breaks away. He buys a gun, steals a car, tries to run but he don't get far. And his mama cries as a crowd gathers round an angry young man face down in the street with a gun in his hand in the ghetto. And as the young man dies on a cold and gray Chicago morning, another little baby child is born in the ghetto. And his mama cries.
We'll be right back. And there we have it. Mac Davis was one of those guys that behind the scenes really makes the music world go round, being such a great songwriter, and here obviously playing, singing at the same time, and became a successful artist in his own right. But before everyone knew his name, he was just behind the scenes and providing songs to artists who would then go on to have massive hits with his songs. This is a great example of that, because people will know this from Elvis Presley, and he did write quite a few songs for Elvis. Memories was one of those as well, but the list is too long to mention. This is one of many songs that Mac would write that would then go on to be covered by multiple artists in the future. He released his own version after Elvis did a cover of it, but having the lyrical content in there, this is what just great songwriters have got the ability to do, to write something that is relevant not only at the time that it is written, but also in future years, and it is still relevant now. It's writing about the human condition, and that is something that Mac could do. And the lyrical content of this song really does drag you in to the overall story. And a lot of songwriters are great songwriters and might not necessarily be great artists in their own right or be able to play and sing at the same time. All of those things that take a lot of practice and a lot of technical ability to pull off live. But Mac had that ability, and we will get the guitar out later just to take you guys through the fingerstyle going on here, the chord changes. But the way that it is written, there's a little bit of bounce in the rhythm, and it's got a little bit of that upbeat quality to it because of that bounce. And it's that contradiction that you get in country music, especially where you have the major bass progression. I know that we do have a fair few minor seventh chords in here as well, which just tweaks it towards that more solemn place. We are totally along for the ride the whole time because of his ability playing the guitar, but because of the story of the song and that vocal delivery, because he had that ability to deliver the vocal with that talking quality, that storytelling quality. What I like about the way that Mac performs this is the fact that playing fingerstyle, performing it himself and singing, it means that he's totally freeform with the timing, with the expression. And this is something you'll get from great singer-songwriters. They'll just drag you through particular parts of the performance, but then speed up in other parts, giving you a slightly different expression and emotional impact by slowing down the tempo. It's something that is implemented and changes with the feel of a performance, and that is totally at the artist's discretion. But it's literally allowing you more time to process the information and the lyrical content because it's being slowed down. So you can then have an emotional response to it because you have more time to absorb what you're being told with that lyrical content. When you have a drummer who might be drumming to a very particular beats per minute and keeping that rhythm going the whole time, it means that there's no room for maneuver with the feel and the emotion and getting your attention on a particular part of the track by slowing it down, because the whole song's going to move along at the same tempo. You don't really get to spend a little bit more time seeing a particular site on the journey. You just go along for the ride and see all the sites for exactly the same amount of time throughout the whole composition. Whereas Mac here gives you a great example of how to slow down in particular sections, but also how to phrase your playing on whichever instrument you might be playing, just to slow it down and give a little bit more expression in the playing as well as the vocal delivery. So there is such artistic freedom in the delivery here from Mac as well. And just to mention, this is a guy and a guitar, and that's it. There's no bells and whistles here, no dancing, no high production value. It is so difficult to keep everyone's attention to this degree with just yourself and a guitar and your voice. And Mac definitely achieves that in this performance, is having that technical ability as well at playing the guitar to just get that ebb and flow to the performance technically. So we are going to be taking a journey through this composition on the guitar, and it's one of those pieces as a composition that's really nice to play. And some singer-songwriters, when they're playing fingerstyle guitar and singing at the same time, even just playing the guitar in isolation and just going through the chords, it's just really nice sometimes to play the chord progressions. This is an example of that. Another great example of that would be James Taylor. Some of the stuff that he writes, the fingerstyle just flows. And the way that Mac has written this, we've got our fingerstyle with the right hand, so do away with your pick, but we're barring an A chord. And also, just from a tuning perspective, we are slightly flat here. We're going to be close to E flat, but not quite. I have tuned my guitar to Mac's guitar here, so it might be something that you might want to just do by ear. But in order to get this sound on the A, I'm barring on this second fret, and Mac is playing with his thumb, the root. First finger is on the D string, and then second finger and third finger are dealing with that G and the B. This isn't going to be an instructional video, but I will play through all of the chords and tell you what they are, and also tell you if the rhythm changes on the right hand. Starting with the A, we have this. Just like that. And as we progress, you're going to repeat that again. And then we move up to what's going to be a C sharp minor seventh. And it's still this same rhythm. Like that. There is a little hammer on that Mac puts in with his second finger. So we get this. Like that. And then we shift up to a D. And This is where the rhythm goes a little bit straight on that right hand because we're going to be ascending to the E. So we go D to the E. And you might hear a little bit of extra picking going on there with the thumb and the first finger, for example. And then you hear the little slide there. So that was thumb, first finger, before then sliding up to the E. And then you'll be back down to the A. The A goes through exactly as normal. And then into the E7th now. And the rhythm changes a little bit here. We're going... So we've got a bit of a bounce from the root note to the rest of the chord. Like that. And on the right hand, I'm still playing the root note with my thumb, and the first finger's playing the D string, the second finger's playing the G string, and the third finger's playing the B string. So once you've got that, we're then jumping into now a straight D here, like that. So that was thumb, first finger, second finger, and third finger together. Back to the root note with the thumb. And we go to the A and follow that same process. And as you'll see there, the right hand does move down for the D and then move your whole hand up to keep that same sequence going on. Like that. It doesn't really matter too much. As you can see there, I was chopping and changing a little bit depending on how you want it to sound. If you want to keep it exactly like Mac's doing here, you want to play the D and play the D again with the thumb there, and then the A, and then play the A again with your thumb there. Just to quickly play through that, we've got the E7th, into the D, A, D, E7th, into the A, into the E7th, and here Mac puts in a little hammer on with his first finger, so we've got this, that sound, which is just that first finger of your E hammering on. Back into the D, to the A. And now we have a D where we're playing the fingers and the thumb all at the same time here. Down to a C sharp minor 7th. Down to a B minor 7th. And now we get into our E. And here, the picking is going to be the thumb, and we're going to play first finger, second finger, third finger, again, still on those same strings. First finger D, second finger G, third finger B. And we've got this, and placing your little finger on the second fret of the B string there, and then go back to your root note, and then move that third finger up to the third fret of the B string. And that is first, second, and third finger all at the same time. And I'll do exactly the same thing when I then move up to that third fret. So we get this like that. And then we'll be back to the beginning. So those are all of the chords that you're going to need, apart from the very last chord, which is going to be the, actually, he does pluck a G, effectively. It's going to be just the same three strings that your first, second, and third finger are on. And then he places in his A, and then places in, effectively, the fifth up at the top there. So now we've just got an A5 chord, like that. And it's up to you how you want to make that sound. I think he just does a little upstroke on that fifth fret. But like I said, this is one of those songs that is really nice to play through on the guitar if you do play yourself and you want to play a little bit of fingerstyle. I highly recommend this one. I do want to get into a little bit of Mac's career and history in this video as well, and starting out when he used to box. And it was something that he wasn't particularly good at. He said himself that he was only 5'9" and 125 pounds. He did used to get into a lot of fist fights as a kid, but he got beat up quite a lot as well, in his own words. He graduated at the age of 16, and that's when he moved to Atlanta because his parents had separated, and I think his dad was quite strict with everything, and Atlanta is where his mother was, so that's why he moved there. At this point, he set up a rock and roll band called the Zots, and he recorded 2 singles with OEK Records, and also worked for VJ Records as a regional manager. He was also a regional manager for Liberty Records. In his early to mid-20s, Mac started to get noticed for his songwriting ability, and he was employed by Boots Enterprises, which was owned by Nancy Sinatra, and in the late 1960s, he was playing on a lot of Frank Sinatra's songs, as well as playing in Nancy's stage shows, and her company was acting as his publishing company at this point for all of the songs that he was writing. It was at this time that he was writing songs such as In the Ghetto, Friend, Lover, Woman, Wife, Home, Is Such a Lonely Time of Year, also Memories, which was recorded by Elvis, and Nancy Sinatra also did a version of that, as well as B.J. Thomas. And in 1968 is when Elvis recorded another one of Mac's songs called A Little Less Conversation, and Elvis would go on to have a massive posthumous hit with that song. It was in 1970 that he then signed with Columbia Records, and he took all of his songs with him, so he still owned the rights to those, and Bobby Goldsboro had a massive #1 with one of Mac's songs, and that was called Watching Scotty Grow. He also had another huge song called I Believe in Music, which was covered by multiple artists, but most notably was a hit for Gallery in 1972. In the 1970s, he had massive crossover success, such as Baby Don't Get Hooked on Me. That got to #1. In the charts, it sold over 1 million copies, as well as being nominated for a Grammy. To mention a couple more songs, One Hell of a Woman got to #11 in the charts, Stop and Smell the Roses got to #9, and in 1974, he was the Academy of Country Music's Entertainer of the Year, as well as having his own show at this time called The Mac Davis Show, and that was a variety show, but he did a lot of acting at this point as well, and will continue to throughout his career, as well as appearing on Broadway. Towards the end of the 70s, he signed with Casablanca Records, and in 1980, he released It's Hard to Be Humble, and that was another top 10 hit in the country charts, but also it made it into the top 30 of the UK charts, which is a rarity for country music over here, but that's the kind of impact that Mac had. Also, Let's Keep It That Way was another top 10 hit. In 1981, Hooked on Music got to #2. Also, just to mention that in 1985, he had another top 10 country hit with I Never Made Love Till I Made Love With You. In the year 2000, he was inducted into the Nashville Songwriters Hall of Fame and received his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Sadly, Mac passed away on September 29th of 2020 at the age of 78. But it's great to have a look back at Mac here performing one of his original compositions. And like I said at the beginning of this video, he's one of those guys that makes the music world go round, because without songwriters like Mac, so many artists wouldn't have anything to sing about. This is really where all the creation happens, all the inspiration happens with guys like Mac Davis. But thank you guys for requesting this video tonight, and I hope you did enjoy it, and I'll see you guys at the next one.